Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the fascinating and honestly beautiful story of how our cells perform a vital and elegant act of self-destruction. It's a process called apoptosis. Okay, let's just jump right in. To really get what apoptosis is, you first have to meet its chaotic, messy cousin, necrosis. See, when a cell dies from an injury, it's a disaster. It swells up, it bursts, and it spills all its guts out, causing a big inflammatory mess. But apoptosis, it's the polar opposite. It's clean, it's quiet, and it is meticulously organized. This is no accident. It's a deliberate, programmed event.
So the key thing to get is that this isn't a failure, not at all. It's a fundamental feature of life. Our bodies are using this pre-planned process constantly to clear out old, damaged, or just plain unneeded cells to keep the whole system running smoothly. And get this, it's happening inside you right now.
So, what does this graceful exit actually look like? Well, the cell goes through this dramatic and very specific physical transformation. You could almost think of the cell's final moments as a four-act play. First, it shrinks down and everything inside gets super condensed. Then, its outer membrane starts to bubble and bulge, a process with the great name of blubbing. After that, it starts to break apart. And finally, it fragments into these neat, sealed packages called apoptotic bodies. And these apoptotic bodies are the absolute genius of the system. They're basically perfectly packed little garbage bags. By bundling up all the cellular components, the DNA, all the organelles, the whole shebang, they make sure there's no spillage, no mess, no alarm bells for the immune system, just a quiet, clean removal.
But how on earth does a cell make this ultimate decision? It's definitely not random. It's a carefully considered verdict that boils down to two major pathways, kicked off by signals from both outside and inside the cell.
The extrinsic pathway is kind of like getting a direct order from mission control. An immune cell can literally float up and tell the target cell, hey, your time is up. The intrinsic pathway, though, that's an inside job. It's the cell's own internal self-destruct sequence, triggered when its own sensors detect that something is catastrophically wrong, like the DNA is hopelessly broken and it realizes it's become a danger to the body. And inside the cell, you've got this whole committee of proteins deciding its fate. You have players like P53, often called the guardian of the genome, which acts as the main damage sensor. Then you've got the BCL2 family, a whole group of proteins that are constantly arguing, some pushing for life, others for death. And finally, the mitochondria. Yep, the cell's powerhouses. They can cast the deciding vote by releasing the final irreversible signal to self-destruct. Okay, so once that irreversible decision is made, the cell calls in a highly specialized demolition crew. These are the executioners that are going to dismantle the cell from the inside out with ruthless precision. So let's meet the caspases. These enzymes are, without a doubt, the stars of the show. They're just hanging out in every cell, inactive, waiting for the signal. But once they get activated, they turn into these little molecular scissors, snipping through the cell's key structural proteins and shutting down all its essential systems. And they don't work one by one. Oh no, they operate in a cascade, which creates this explosive chain reaction. A couple of initiator caspases get the first signal. They then turn around and activate a whole army of executioner caspases. This amplification step ensures the demolition is fast, total, and there's no turning back. One of their most famous jobs is to unleash an enzyme that just shreds the cell's DNA. But it doesn't just randomly tear it apart. It snips it very precisely into these neat little fragments that are all about 200 base pairs long. When scientists look at this DNA, it forms a really distinct ladder pattern. It's the definitive molecular signature that says, yep, apoptosis happened here. So, the cell has been shut down, dismantled, and neatly packed up into those little apoptotic bodies. The very last step is the cleanup, and it has to be just as quiet and efficient as everything that came before it. Now, this is so cool. The dying cell does something incredibly clever. It raises a flag on its surface. There's this specific molecule that's normally kept on the inside of the cell membrane, but during apoptosis, it flips to the outside. This acts as a literal eat-me signal, telling the immune system's cleanup crew, these cells called phagocytes, that this package is ready to be picked up. And this is just the perfect finishing touch. When that phagocyte eats the apoptotic body, the whole process doesn't just avoid causing inflammation, it actively suppresses it.
The cleanup cell releases anti-inflammatory signals, basically telling the whole neighborhood, nothing to see here, folks. Everyone stay calm. It's like the perfect crime, leaving no trace behind.
Now, I know this whole process might sound a bit grim, right? This constant, controlled dance with death. But here's the thing. It is absolutely essential for life. The balance of when cells live and when they die is totally critical for our health. Just think about it for a second. This process is what sculpted your hands, getting rid of the webbing between your fingers before you were even born. Right this very moment, it's removing billions of your old cells to make way for new ones. And crucially, it's your main line of defense against cancer and viruses, telling compromised cells to make the ultimate sacrifice. It's a silent hero, working for you 24/7. But when this delicate balance gets thrown off, the consequences are severe. If you have too little apoptosis, cells that should die just don't. That can lead to cancer or to autoimmune diseases where the body doesn't get rid of its own self-attacking cells. On the flip side, too much apoptosis means we lose cells we desperately need, which contributes to things like neurodegenerative diseases or the damage you see after a heart attack. So the crucial point to take away is this. Apoptosis is not just some obscure biological curiosity. It's a fundamental process right at the heart of health and disease. Understanding its intricate machinery is opening up incredible new possibilities for medicine, which leaves us with a final, fascinating thought. If our own cells already hold the blueprint for how to die gracefully, can we learn to be the conductors of their final beautiful symphony?